Well, good morning, folks. We got ourselves, you can kind of see that in there, 036. Knock the spider webs down. Let me shut the radio off real quick. That way YouTube doesn't get on my case. Anyhow, this is a spare parts. This is sauce. I got this in the usual gettin spot. Tell me it doesn't run. Yeah, it seems like it's got compression. It's pretty low though. So we're gonna go through it and see if we can't figure out what's wrong with it. But from the look of the exhaust port there, that's got kind of a silver patina to it. It's usually a good sign that they've been cooked, one reason or another. So we might get lucky and it won't need seals. We'll just need a piston and cylinder. But we gotta find out. The exhaust cover has been off. Screws are already loose. So that's the first step. Let's pull the cover and see what we got. But until then, we got some basic saw tools to go over here. So this is my kit. This goes with me every day logging. There's another box this fits in for sharp chains and spare parts. But pretty much everything I need to work on a saw. Old flat file. Your saw wrench that comes with the saw, or a scrench, whatever you want to call it. And this is, what is this, an 8mm, I think it is? I don't remember. Yeah, 8mm T-handle. It's kind of handy for some of the, like your carburetor nuts and stuff like that. And then the good old Torx T-handle. And I have some other odds and ends too. Like there's a 5/16 box wrench. It fell down in the box. Ow. I do carry around file, even though I don't think I've hand filed a chain in ages. Got my Ford wrench. This thing is super handy. You got a big bolt, it'll go on there. You got a little bolt, it'll go on there. And your chain gauge tool, this is the stihl version. I kind of like the stihl version, at least for in the field work, because you can use that end to clean out your bar rails. And if you need to do your rakers, you can do this side. These are a little more aggressive than the 030. The Oregon one I use here in the sheds is 025. And for all you Continental folks, I'm mostly using inch SAE stuff today because I don't have metric stuff memorized. And I don't feel like doing the conversions. Move my stool out of the way so we'll set you up here. We'll do it just like that. It's not the world's greatest camera stand. There might be a spider crawling around on you in a minute. Let's see what we got. So, starting with wood. This is my nice clean workbench. Yeah. Spare parts. Here's one for you guys. A couple years ago when I was still machining, I decided to make my own light bar, kind of like the Oregon style. It's aluminum insert. I think it's 18 gauge or something like that. On both sides, you can't see, so it's filthy. And it worked great. It's comparable to an Oregon. This is a stihl bar. But it pops out right here. So it's riveted on. A little bit of JB weld to hold it still, but once it bends, just like the other ones, are SOL. Anyways, enough of that. So figure out what's wrong with this guy. So, I smelled the gas earlier. You don't take my word for it. It smells like good gas. We'll probably end up draining it anyways. Oh yeah, that's already loose. This is the Jippo healing bench. This is also where I make knives. When I actually get time to make knives. I don't do very often anymore because I pretty much work 6-7 days a week now. Oh cool, we got a plug. I might put that in there while we're done. I wonder what that's out of. So all we're doing today is figuring out what's wrong. Can I fix it, or should I just put it back in the scrap bin with everything else? It's important to keep it. Oh yeah, she's cooktificated. So get the light in there just right. That bright spot in the piston. That's good. As your piston goes up and down. That shouldn't be all scored and scratched like that. So that's a bad piston and cylinder at least. Hopefully we can figure out why. I mean, 9 times out of 20 it's just either fuel, they ran it too lean, or something like that. Sometimes it's something more nefarious, like bad fuel, usually ethanol. I'm not one for cleaning things off before I work on them. Mostly because I'm lazy. And I don't really have anything to clean with anyways. I got an air compressor, but that only does so much. Stuff gets caked on pretty good. So we'll tear her down. Get all the big stuff out of the way so I can see what I'm doing. It's a lot easier to get in there. It's only a handful of screws. So if you can see that, but he's going to plastic. He's going to metal. So it's important to keep those two separate when you're working on a stihl saw. Pretty much everything uses this Torx. If you don't use the Torx, you use that flat blade. Probably end up changing that out. Yeah. I'll worry about that when we get there. So I haven't actually torn apart one of these little 36s. I have a 360 that I use in a log truck right now. Come on. But I got it used in good shape. There's a little button thing up top here. It's actually a screw or a nut. Either one. It holds your top cover on. Usually it stays put. It's pretty ingenious. So I'll go through and I'll scrape the big chunks out. It does help with cooling. Spark plug, see what it has to say. Well, spark plug looks fine. It doesn't mean it's the right plug, though. Well, you know what we should do. She got spark. If you're wondering how you do that, you just put it back in the socket and then touch it to ground, which, you know, the ground is where this plug is going to sit anyways, metal to metal. And then you just give it a pull. If you can see sparks, she got spark. Doesn't always mean you got spark under compression, but you got spark, and that's half the battle. So, that's why I don't have it off yet, because it's still attached. Oh, that is loose. It's an older version, so it's got no baffle. It's kind of nice. Got that in the hole. These ones inside the muffler are always hard to see. It's black on black on black. So. We got a heat deflector. It's crusty. We got a gasket. We'll probably end up reusing. So your spark arrestors right here. You want to leave that in. And a lot of guys, oh, remove that. No, don't remove it. Some states where it's illegal to run without it, for good reason too. I have set things on fire just with the exhaust on a saw. If you're not paying attention and you don't get it out in a hurry. And that's with the spark arrestor. Now, without spark arrestor, it happens a lot quicker and a lot faster. So, you snotums. I like hit this one here. Yeah, see, that's no bueno. I mean, I'm not good at cleaning my saws, but that's just fucking garbage in there. So, I think I'll hit this with the air compressor in a minute. She's pretty carboned up. But it's not terrible. So. That's crusty. You can see that little C-clip. Little pockets right there. You just take your saw tool, put it in one of those little pockets, keep your finger over it. Keep your finger on it, it doesn't go for a ride. A little washer. Don't lose that washer. Factory sprocket tooth. That should probably be replaced. Ick. That ain't right. Maybe it is. That's the end of your crankshaft there. See, it's all sorts of goobered up in there. That's just chunks and oil, and doesn't hurt anything. Just Tells me maybe the oiler's gone bad. Scrape most of that out. Might have crusty old rag. So then, if you wanted to pull your clutch off, these are wrong-handed threads. You stick a little plastic deal, another one of my tools, that guy. Stick that in there. And you can usually get them to pop off. I think I'm going to mess with this one. It looks fine. If we got to do a seal or bearings, then we can get into that then. But for now, what I'm going to do is tearing her all down. It doesn't take much to take the clutch cover off. Or not the clutch cover, the pull starter. And then we can get into it and we can clean it up. We hit it with some old gas. The saw shop likes to hit things with their steam pressure washer. One of those hot water pressure washers. Get all the crusties off and they're pretty easy to work on. Hey, the saw shop. I need to prove. Keep an eye on now. See, it's got a bushing on it. That bushing is kind of important. I'm using that for the brake handle. So we're just going to tear it down today, and then I hope this video ain't too long, and see what we got. I won't even tear it down all the way, probably. Yeah, see, that's all good. Clean some of this garbage out of here. If anything, you're saving weight, too. I'm guessing this saw was killed because of a dull chain. I didn't get the bar and chain with it. So that's most of it anyways. Yuck. 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 Okay. Oh, we'll need a screwdriver too. I don't think. Is that enough fit down in there? That's your carburetor adjusting screwdriver. There's another tool you got in there. So somewhere, one side or the other, there's a little clamp. So you got your carburetor. You can see that. Air filter, carburetor. And then there's a rubber boot right there. And that rubber boot has a big hose clamp on it that connects it to the piston or the cylinder. And usually we can get to them right there. And they ain't terribly tight, so you just back them off a few turns. These days I'll actually put a light out here and see what the hell I'm doing. Pull that back a little ways. And then you pull the boot off. It'll come off the rest of the way when we grab the. We'll pull this cylinder off. Oh, that's one ways down today. What I don't see is my compression tool. I have a ring compression tool that Steve gave me. So the head bolts, as it were, just holes drilled in there. is, they're not even all that tight. Make a note of how tight this stuff is before you tear it apart. So you put it back together and you're like, oh, yeah, I know what I'm doing. The benefit is these T-handles and Allen wrenches in general go until they flex and it's torqued. Ooh. Ooh, that was loose. That's probably what killed it. Let's see what this one says. That one wasn't very tight, so I'm guessing it had an air leak. So then you pull your head bolts out. Pull those aside. So there are guys who will clean these up. You can see in there. Kind of hard to see in there, but they'll clean that scoring up. Whatever. Yeah, most of the time it's not. It's not into the nickel. There's a plating on the inside of these. It's just aluminum or magnesium. I think these are aluminum. And if it's not into the nickel, they'll clean these up and rerun them. But I like my stuff to stay running. I don't have the time or luxury to be messing with saws when I'm in the woods. And yeah, I usually carry an extra saw, but now that I got the log truck, I don't always have an extra saw. I don't have room for an extra saw. So, taking the time to, make sure it runs good and runs strong. It's kind of important. So, I'm going to go and pile the rest of them. And we take a look at our piston. Spin that around so you guys can see. Yeah. Yeah, I'll grab you off of there. So you can see how the rings should stick out a little ways. But on the side that's all boogered up. They're smooth. So that it is done. Done, 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 done. That's kind of cool. The impulse line's up here on this one. This is your impulse line right here. Comes up. They always come out right there on stills. They usually run straight back. Oh, dude, there's just a whole mess of junk in there. And this one runs up to the top, and this is your boot. So I'm gonna do pull that off, put it in the parts tray. I'm gonna clean this up real quick. Now, cleanliness is important here. And you notice I'm not very clean. And all that stuff I said about having things run good. These things are designed to eat a little bit. You probably shouldn't put some in on purpose. And I will try to minimize that. But you're going to get dirt in there. Whether from running it or from whatever. But keep it as clean as you can. And it'll treat you good. A lot of these saws, you can tell this thing's been run with some dull ass chains on it. And this is powder. There we go. See, it's just oil and powder. So that it basically it overheated. And that was the end of that. So on these caber rings. One of the reasons I keep a saw file with me. Got a pointy end on it. The caber rings, they're in that little hole right here. So you gotta get in there and pull that ring out. So that's about where I'll finish off today. And then we'll go clean it up and I'll go see about getting some parts. Might get parts today, might not. I don't know. We'll go from the other side though, because it's a lot easier. Find the or not. Sometimes you just gotta get in there. So I try to save these because I guarantee that I will lose one. The kit only comes with 2. You take your saw wrench and just kind of. Usually saw wrench works, but this is actually one of the smallest saws I rebuilt. So. Okay, so saw wrench won't work this time. Make a liar out of me. It's not playing nice. Makes whatever fits in there, really. Don't worry. We'll get it out of there. That's too big. Oh, don't do that. No, no, no. It's broke. Nobody cares. I might need to go find a pair of pliers. I don't think I have any out here. Yeah, she got hot. Anyways, that's it. You pull that out. No. Should have just stuck with the saw wrench. Ta-da! Piston, rod. Usually they come out a lot easier than that. That one's really stiff. Put that in spare pile parts. Examine your bearing. Bearing goes up in there. So everything feels pretty good. I think we're going to be into this piston and cylinder. Call it a day. You know, that's all for now. I'll talk to you all later.